Now it's day 3 of the protest that has rocked several cities in Nigeria. Now, while in some states they were peaceful, but things took a turn for the bad in other states. This is Standpoint. I am Precious Amayu. Now, protesters are still out and about in different places across the country. But meanwhile, the pro-Tinubu and Take It Back Hunger protesters in Adamawa have agreed with security operatives to step down so as to avoid being hijacked by thugs. The protesters acknowledged that much have been done by the president and Governor Fintiri to make the state and country a better place. Senior reporter Wolabi Adenusi filed in this report.
Protesters in Adamawa State have reached an agreement with security operatives to end the ongoing hunger protest. The pro-Tinubu protesters were out to lend their voices on national issues bothering citizens. The protesters used the occasion to highlight the achievement of President Tinubu and Governor Fintiri's administration in the last 1 year.
I'm a president of the Commodity Association, one of the Commodity Associations of Nigeria, that's agri-commodities. I know what the government is doing. This government has distributed a fertilizer free of charge to 36 state governors. Most of the members of the National Assembly also was given fertilizer to give out free to our farmers. So we know all these things that is taking place now in this country is political.
Yesterday we were out to address the issues of what is happening in the country, and today we deem it fit to come back again. Adamawa State is one of the states that experienced peace and harmony yesterday, and we see the development strides of the president and the governor of the state together.
Addressing the protesters, the State Commissioner of Police appreciated the peaceful manner in which protesters conducted themselves as he urged them to suspend the protest.
The command is appealing to members of the public, particularly parents, to talk to their subjects. We don't want what happened in other states to happen in Adamawa State. We are known to be peace-loving people in Adamawa State. We are known to be professionals, security agencies. So in that, we should not allow miscreants to hijack this process. Instead, it should go the way it is going.
And certainly, any country that does not address those problems will see problems. So the governor said, first of all, come and listen to you. He also must articulate his own for here, articulate what you send to Abuja, and also tell the local governments what they should do on their own.
Also in Taraba State, the protesters have suspended the protest, commending the proactive measures put in place by Governor Kefas.
Thank God for the life of our youth. Our youth, they are the low abandoned youth. They answer the call of His Excellency. They see and they know the importance of his program called Moving Forward. So they now rejected the call to protest.
The swift intervention by both Governor Fintiri and Governor Kefas have made the organizers of the protest to suspend the protest in Adamawa and Taraba states.
All right, let's discuss this further. I have joining me to discuss this Kayode Oyedeji. He's an economist and he joins me in the studio. Good to have you join us.
Thank you.
We also have Dr. Raymond Chidama. He is the Secretary of Progressive Congress. He joins us from Adamawa State via Zoom. Good to have you, Dr. Raymond. All right, we do not have Dr. Raymond yet. As soon as we have him, we'll bring him into the conversation. So let me start with you, Mr. Oyedeji. It's been, this is the third day. Some states, you know, the still protest is still on. We know that some people are in Ojota at the moment, but in some states, they seem to have taken a break. But I just wanted to look at all that has happened. You're an economist, and talk to us about the economic implication of all that has played out in the last 3 days.
Well, it's not been a very good one on one side. On the other side, you call it a reality check for us as a people, as a country. People have exercised their right to take government when they want. They've created an opportunity for government to talk to them, tell them what government is doing. They are able to tell government, this is what we want. And now you should be able to move forward from there. It shouldn't be a process of apportioning blames. It shouldn't be a problem of saying who is wrong or who is right. The main thing is the economy. The economy, like Clinton said, it's all about the economy. At the end of the day, it's about the quality of life of an average Nigerian. How government policies, actions or inactions have impacted on an average Nigerian, an average consumer. And I think that is what is at stake now. The political side of it should be on that plate. Let's bring to the front burner how we move forward as a country. The impact, of course, expectedly has been very terrible on the economy. You have distortions. You have more problems for the same economy we want to work on to make sure that people have better quality of life. Then there must be a connection. There must be a point whereby government will say, this is what we are offering you. There must be a point where I say, this is what we want, and government will be able to say, this is what we are offering you. I think we've reached that point. The period of sharing blame, apportioning blame should come to an end. We should come together as a people, as a country, to look at how we grow the economy. And I think that's the main essence of that protest, good or bad. The reality is it has afforded us an opportunity to start afresh, an opportunity to look at every component of the economy. How do we deal with inflation? What do we do with food production? How do we achieve improvements in food production? How do we ensure that government business is done properly? How do we ensure that an average Nigerian gets the kind of service he or she desires or deserves from government? And when we talk about government, we are not talking about the president alone. Government is such a big monster all over the places. We have the federal, we have the state, we have the local government. In fact, we have communities, we have the traditional institutions, we have the religious institutions. Everybody must come together at this point and say, let's have an handshake. Government, citizen, let's have an engagement. How do we make sure that we deal with the problem of inflation? How do we make sure that as a people we reorganize ourselves to achieve growth in the economy, to achieve development? You see, we've had growth, but we've not had development. These are the questions we must ask ourselves. How come?
I want you to speak to that. We'll get back to how to move forward, but speak to the issue of growth and development.
Yes, growth. You achieve development when you have sustainable growth. So we've not had development because we've not been able to sustain the little temple of growth which we have over the years. We have it in piecemeal, then we have a break, then we can't really. Growth must translate to improvement in the quality of living of the citizens. And that's one area we need to look at. We don't need to look at it and say, government is doing a lot. The current government is doing a lot. How come these efforts, these initiatives have not translated into better living standard of the people? And
we will get into all of that, but I want us to take this
one by one
after the other, because there's a whole lot of things you've said, and so that we all can understand.
Yes.
From the economic standpoint, you have talked about growth and development. I really want to stay on that just a little bit. And you have talked about having growth, and then it's not continuous, and so because of that we don't have development.
Yes.
What is responsible for those gaps in growth that do not eventually then lead to development?
Quite a lot of things. In Nigeria, for instance, there was a time we had growth in double digits, and people started feeling the impacts. People started enjoying some luxuries and other stuff. But unfortunately, that was short-lived. We went back to retrogression. We went by a situation whereby the growth declined in the economy. And from there, at the point we had 14% growth, I think in 2007. Now we are talking about 2.3, 2.4. We are talking about marginal growth in the economy. How do we make sure that we build on this? How do we make sure that we even sustain that tempo? Now we have inflation. When you talk about inflation, you are talking about too much money chasing very little goods or services are available. How do we make sure that we have a big portfolio of goods and services that will go around? So when you say, why have we not had development? We've not had development because we've not been able to make sure that we do the right things. We develop the right sector of the economy. We boost productivity within the economy. We have more in terms of income, but not in terms of development, not in terms of goods and services that we actually need to make people live better. So,
is there also a chance that in Nigeria, because of and of course it's all around the world, but because of the nature of the political parties, that anyone who comes into office do not necessarily view government as a continuum and decides that, look, I want to come in with a different policy?
Well, we have our local problems as a country. We have a complicated federal structure that is almost impossible to run. You have the federal government who seems to be everything to everybody, to the extent that the man in Adamawa, for instance, does not know that there is a governor that he should hold responsible or hold accountable, does not know that there is a local government who should be responsible directly to the people, not to the state. It does not even, the people don't even know that they should take ownership of that government at the grassroots level. So we have all kinds of complications regarding our federalism. The kind of federalism we run makes it very difficult for people to actually know who is responsible for what. I'll give you an instance. If you don't have roads around your neighborhood, there's a likelihood that you say, Sanwo-Olu has not built her roads. But if you look deeper, you probably discover that the road in front of your house should be taken care of by your local government. So the level of education is low in terms of civic.
And then we also have federal roads.
We also have federal roads. Well. So we need to now begin to talk to ourselves, the kind of structure we'll run. Can it allow for development? Can it allow for sustainable growth over a period of time? To the extent that an average Nigerian will be able to access shelter, clothing, food, without necessarily carrying a placard, without necessarily complaining, lamenting about the situation of things. So that's why it's important at the beginning that we put aside blame sharing, apportioning blame, and begin to look at the system we run. How long do we run this kind of system? You see, it's important that today you are blaming President Tinubu supposedly. A few years ago, we were blaming Buhari. The year before, we were blaming President Jonathan. There's a reality here that the system is not working as much as we think it should. And these are the things we should be able to look at. We are all apportioning blame. Let's stop this. Let's look at how we can engage the current government. Let's see what government has in store for us. And let's how we can demonstrate a bit of patience and say, let's give government more time to look at our problems. There are problems.
And it's interesting you mentioned those three governments, because if you look at those three administrations, there have been a major protest, in all three. We can even go back if we want to, and also find that, we've always had protests in every administration. When you look at all of this, what is the common thread here? What is again, you said it's all about the economy. What is the common challenge that runs through all of this?
You see, we have, I will take it from 1999. Let me not go too far, because before 1999, the military nearly wrecked the system. But you see, the system the military government ran was civil in terms of cost, was a tight split to the system we have when we combine what we have at the local government, at the state and the federal structure. We run a democracy that has become too expensive, that has become too bogus to guarantee growth on a sustainable basis, to guarantee development. We have run our country in such a way that our country has become very poor. And all our country can do at this point is to provide for offices and not to provide services. And this is a big challenge. How come we have suddenly discovered, for instance, that we can't even feed ourselves? How do you have a population that grew from 88 million before 1999, around 1999, to about 200 million, and you have declining services, you have decline in food production, you even have decline in oil production, which is key to the economy. So how did you run the economy to this point? How did the economy run from being one that the whole world was running to partake in, to one that can barely feed itself? This is the tragedy. This is the problem. It didn't start today. From 1999, when government of Obasanjo came in, President Obasanjo was smart enough to introduce far-reaching reforms. And those reforms initially were quite challenging. People misconstrued a lot of things about what he wanted to do. But as time went on, before he finished the second term, Nigeria was like a mecca to foreign investors. People were trooping in to invest in our stock markets. People were trooping in to invest in our telecoms. People were trooping in to involve in... President Obasanjo started the Cassava project. When he started that project, everybody thought, oh, with cassava, with ethanol, with this and that, we'll be able to export this quantity of items to the we'll make a lot of foreign exchange from it. The moment President Obasanjo left, reforms ended. In fact,
I want to